Tom Burgess-Watson's here with Business Today. The French government offering a bit of a lifeline to PSA, Peugeot Citroën.
Yes, €7 billion to be made available in the form of guarantees for that ailing car giant, as you said there, but it doesn't come without terms and conditions. In return, the socialist government is expecting the company to cut back its original forecast for the number of staff it might have to lay off. This is all part of a bid to save jobs here in France. But some remarks from the boss of Peugeot Citroën this morning indicate that perhaps they're not willing to deliver on their side of the bargain.
Peugeot Citroën PSA finds itself caught between financial trouble and labour strife. The French car giant is undergoing a tumultuous period. To help it pull through, the French government has guaranteed a loan of €7 billion over 3 years, backing that may promise a power struggle between the auto builder and the socialist government. Peugeot CEO Philippe Varane, in an interview with the business daily Les Echos Thursday, declared himself happy with the measure, but he also acknowledged the financial support came with strings attached. A government representative and also a workers' delegate will now sit on Peugeot's board of directors. For some, that is government interference in the running of the company, but the CEO says Peugeot will not be under state control.
We will continue operating as usual. The state will not be replacing the directors of the company. I am completely in command of the group, along with the board of directors. The supervisory board is there to oversee things.
Varane also sought to placate fears over the future of joint projects with General Motors. Talks between the government and PSA remain as a standstill as the company refuses to roll back its restructuring plan.
There should be no public money for Peugeot when it's planning layoffs. We cannot finance job cutters. That's unacceptable.
General Motors, which holds a 7% stake in PSA, has yet to respond. Foreign investors may not look so kindly on state intervention.
It's worth remembering as well, Stuart, that comes in the context of fresh unemployment figures here for France. Unemployment up for the 17th month in a row last month at its fastest pace since April 2009. That means 47,000 more people are looking for a job than the month before, well above the 3 million mark now, the number of unemployed in France, and set to hit 10.2%. The overall unemployment rate by the end of the year. That's according to INSEE, which is the National Statistics Institute.
OK, well, let's have a look at the markets, and it's results season as well, isn't it?
It is. Just before we get the opening figures, let's get some earnings figures, which are just coming into us here at France 24 throughout the course of this morning. The biggest bank in the Eurozone, Santander, their profit down 66% in the third quarter. Heavy losses there for them in the Spanish real estate market. Unilever, on the other hand, rather more upbeat, up close to 6% for their earnings for the third quarter. And the French makers of pastis, Pernod Ricard, their growth has slowed slightly, down 6% versus the previous quarter. Let's see how that translated onto the markets board at the open here in Europe. That's how things stood. Slightly more upbeat, but otherwise pretty flat, I would say, as an opening to the penultimate day of the trading week. Let's see how things ended the trading day in Asia. And South Korea's largest car maker, Hyundai, said that quarter three profits had fallen nearly 15%. Nevertheless, the cost be up around 0.5%. Shares in Tokyo ending the day on a positive note as well. And some slightly better data out of China, indicating that perhaps the world's number 2 economy is, after all, managing to recoup some of that lost growth.
OK, Tom, I've got a taste of pastis in my mouth now after that. It's good taste, good taste. Legal reminder, nobody in the banking world is above the law.
Yeah, the US government has been carrying out a 5-month-long crackdown, a 5-year-long crackdown, on insider trading, and it's resulted in 69 convictions up until now. Perhaps the biggest name so far to be convicted is a former member of the board of Goldman Sachs. His name is Rajat Gupta, and he has been sentenced to jail, much lighter sentence than was expected, just 2 years behind bars. But it is a reminder that insider trading is a serious crime, and if you're caught, you will be put behind bars.
A spectacular fall from grace, but not quite so bad as was expected for Rajat Gupta. The former Goldman Sachs board member was sentenced Wednesday by a New York district court to 2 years in prison for insider dealing. Federal sentencing guidelines recommend a minimum sentencing of 6.5 years. A Manhattan federal court found Gupta guilty in June of passing information about board dealings to his friend, hedge fund manager Raj Rajaratnam. This allowed Rajaratnam to make more than $11 million in illegal profits. The Sri Lankan-born fund owner is serving an 11-year sentence for fraud and conspiracy. Gupta, a veteran businessman who has served on the boards of several Fortune 500 companies, made no comment, but his lawyer maintained his client's innocence.
Our only comment is obviously I believe strongly in Mr. Gupta's innocence, and we will be pursuing our appeal.
Harvard-educated Gupta was one of the biggest names to be taken down by a 5-year federal crackdown on insider dealing that has so far resulted in 69 convictions.
So a reminder there, no one above the law in the world of banking. Let's get some other corporate news for you now. And it's the first civil fraud lawsuit following the big 2008 US mortgage crisis. The US Department of Justice has filed a fraud lawsuit against the Bank of America, accusing it of running up more than $1 billion in losses. That's by selling thousands of toxic mortgage loans to the big mortgage lenders in the US, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Belgium's loss is Spain's gain. Ford has announced on Wednesday that it's closing one of its main European factories in eastern Belgium in 2014, a move that will result in 4,500 direct job losses. Now, the plant in question produces 3 models of vehicle. Ford said it plans to shift production to the Spanish city of Valencia, and some news just coming into us in the last half hour that Ford is also set to announce the closure of its Southampton plant in the UK, where around 500 people are employed.
And a critical product, the words of the Microsoft co-founder and chairman Bill Gates, as the software giant gears up to release a new version of its Windows operating system today. Windows 8 is expected to have new features and be more compatible with cloud computing and mobile gadgets. Well, that launch coincides with the availability of Microsoft's answer to the iPad, which is called the Slate, another tablet computer there on the shelves.
Excellent stuff. Now, finally, I'm wearing the tie for it today. Can you see that? Can you see my tie?
I can see
There
your tie.
Diamonds might be a girl's best friend, but perhaps emeralds, see, perfect, are our second favourite gem, apparently.
Yes, emeralds are sort of second favourite in terms of price anyway. And that's what's got quite a lot of people in Colombia very excited, because some road workers were working on a project on a mountain highway, and they stumbled across what they originally thought were the green gem. And in fact, it turned out that it was the green gem.
Wow.
Very valuable indeed. And now all the local residents in that area are scrambling to the area with their digging equipment to try to get their hands on what are some very precious bits of loot there. 400 people already on the scene digging away, because there are deposits valued in the millions of pesos there on that mountain road. But it's a pretty dangerous area. If you look at those pictures there, there's a very sheer drop right off the edge of a cliff. So let's hope that road gets constructed after all, and that people don't get too distracted from the matter in hand, which is not, I should say, digging for emeralds.
Do you think we get a look in if we turned up with our trowels?
I think they might. They might be a little bit suspicious, but it's a long way to go. I mean, you'd have to be guaranteed to cover the cost of your plane ticket.
That's very true.
To get all the way to Colombia.
Yeah. All right, excellent stuff. Tom Burgess-Watson with The Business Today here on France 24, the latest news. We'll be here very shortly. Claire Murphy after the break.